Okay, cool, cool, cool.
You get to try again.
All right.
Okay, you ready for a faster countdown?
First person to restart their run in a marathon. Let's go.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I speed ran the countdown that time. Okay, so Tunic is an isometric action adventure game about a tiny fox in a big world where you explore worlds, fight monsters, fight secrets. So the first secret, bombs. Yep, type in bomb code. You'll figure out how to figure out the bomb codes later. Yeah, we get one free bomb per type. Specifically in this route, Glace is gonna pick and choose where those bomb codes are typed in. It's not really, it's more like a player preference thing, I think, would you say?
Yeah, pretty much everyone types them in the same place except for me. Um, but I like my method.
So the regular bomb, which none of these items have canonical names, okay, so we're gonna try our best. But the regular bomb takes out those bushes, and then once we grab this quick chest, there's a really precise setup here using I think digital movement, at least that's what I do, to get that firebomb to explode just barely through the wall enough to catch those bushes on fire, which allows us to run over to this teleport pad without aggroing the nearby enemies and set up for another teleport later in the game.
The
And
first
we're
like,
already
minute
off.
of this is very front loaded. It's so hard to like live commentate this because like, oh, we're here, we're here, we're here. But now we have a nice little pause where we just run through the beach.
Mm-hmm. The
With a
one
nice
good thing
follow.
about Restricted is you're not inundated with tricks constantly. So while it's still a pretty fragile run, unfortunately, there's very few runs in Tunic that are not fragile. You do get a few pauses here and there that other runners and routes don't necessarily get to take. You see Glace skipping the traditional money routing there that you might have seen in FWA. We'll get to that later. But now we're descending into Frog's Domain. We always go, well, not always, in most cases, go to Frog's Domain to pick up a special item that is like an elastic, sticky tentacle that comes from a portal to another world. We could just call it an orb, I think is maybe the best way to describe it. Maybe colloquially a hook shot, you know, whatever you'd prefer.
Totally not a hook shot.
Yeah, not a hook shot. But that's going to open up a lot of required pathing we'll need. It gets us around early in the early game, and it is required to get into some later areas. So you most of the time see routing to Frog's Domain pretty early. However, you usually don't see runners actually run into Frog's Domain through the casual route. So see, you can see we're already taking a route that maybe you took in your casual playthrough. Now, why specifically, Glace, are we venturing through the entirety of Frog's Domain?
So there are a few things that we want to get, and we are, as you might guess, pretty limited on resources right now. So we need money, we need attack upgrades, and we need to save as much dynamite as we can. There are skips to this area, but all of them use dynamite, which is better spent elsewhere. That money chest we opened will be very important very soon. This is an attack upgrade, which will also be important very soon.
Now, why did this room get darker? I don't know about you, but I miss that ladder about half the time. I'm just saying. I guess we don't
Yeah.
have the lantern. It's fair.
This run unfortunately manages to hit every dark room in the game.
Yeah. That is no joke, and we're gonna find out what that refers to shortly. Now, in
Here's
most
the
categories, we would just die here and death warp back, right? Which would be mighty convenient. But you're gonna watch Glace quickly ascend out of the entrance of Frog Domain and into Atoll to power 2 of the fuses, the eastern fuses. And that is almost entirely because it is just slightly faster to do that now versus coming back later in the game and moving around the entire area, going to all 4 corners of the ruined Atoll.
Yeah. So much later in the run, we need to head to the library, and the key to getting in there is activating these 4 fuses that are in the 4 corners of this map. So we're going to do 2 of them now, and then literally at the end of the run, we're gonna come back and do the other two. There's our friend Crab. We say hello to him.
Excuse me, it's Cakes. All
Oh.
right, get it right. Yeah, very convenient damage down, very cute crab. But there's one other important piece of the routing here. Not only do we get to get these 2 fuses out of the way early, there is also a lot of money.
Yes.
Right here, conveniently placed.
This is one of the highest money chests out there. It has a nice convenient enemy to kill us. So
It's a sub 5 death.
First of several death warps.
And my contractually obligated segment. This is Resurrection. That was Resurrection. So the first time you die in every new game, you get sent here for some lore. But if you have a bomb equipped, actually most items equipped early, you can use them even though you have no inventory access or UI. And so if you have a bomb ready, you can just take 1 hit and skip, significant amount of time, 20, 30 seconds, something like that. And we're already into another area. You think this is slower. This is like, oh, this is the slow any percent. There's no slow category in Tunic, okay? You gotta pay attention. You gotta keep up. So we're grabbing money here, berries for much later, literally the end of the run. And, well, okay, maybe technically those berries are not for the end of the run, but one of them will be, maybe. And Glace Cannon. So it's a trinket we can equip to like a card slot. Again, no proper names for any of these things, but it's gonna let us basically drop our HP to 1 and set anything we hit on fire, which we're gonna use like basically immediately. You saw Glace equip the Glace Cannon card while she was falling off the ladder. That's like a core technique in Tunic that you want to practice no matter what category you're running. Being able to menu when a chest is opening or when you're falling, like in those moments where you're not losing any time and you can do setup. This is very scary.
This whole area has to be done at 1 HP because we need to be able to catch things on fire.
I have died many times hitting the wrong bush there. That little swipe right there was a bait to set those bushes on fire, but also get that Rudeling to step forward so we could roll through the swing. If you roll through that swing with bad timing, you're dead. So it's a pretty tight. It's not as scary as it looks, but a lot of tricks in this game, a lot of routing. Like the speed game is just difficult because we take everything. Oh wait, yeah, quiet time. Sorry. All right, let's go. Round of applause, everybody. I need claps from everybody.
The first boss in the game. He was a little short-sighted.
Yeah, he's trying. I do want to point out to everybody that Glace did skip the easiest 5-second flask in the game. So if we ever run out of health, you're to blame. And that's our first bell. That's so the bells you never get to see in most of the speedrun categories that allow glitches, right? Because we can sort of bypass what they give us, but in restricted, we have to hit both, which is what makes this route so interesting. And just conveniently, because we already have the orb, we can transition from this little shortcut over to the first fuse we need to power to get into the fortress. And the routing almost entirely revolves around that just being convenient.
Yeah. When this route was like first being developed, it was kind of we have to go here eventually, and oh, it's kind of scary to be here, as we'll get into in a second. But there's an item that we're heading to now called Muffling Bell, which ends up being hugely useful through the run, and it kind of like turned this run on its head when this route was figured out. So this is the first of 2 areas that are very dark areas. You're supposed to have an item called the lantern. Getting the lantern is slow, and we'll be fine. There's spiders in here. Don't worry about them.
Yeah, I would say this is probably one of the harder things to pick up when you first learn this category and rule set, because it's hard to route it out.
This is definitely the scariest room in the game for me right here.
That was sick. That was so good. I mean, I'm not gonna say early. Yes. Okay, so normally we would use a lure there, right? We just picked up a lure. The spiders would follow the lure, but Glace has found a route that doesn't require the lure. And you know, it's we don't even have time to talk about it. But all you need to know now is that we saved one. We still have a lure for later.
In our back pocket. This is our friend. Sometimes he's nice to us, sometimes he's not. Today he's being nice. He's gonna come up and if all goes according to plan, he'll just stare at us menacingly. And leave
You gotta
us
be
alone.
careful when you leave that room. If you leave the room before the fuse hits the ground, it doesn't actually stay powered. Fun fact.
That's a great way to lose 20 seconds. Why do I know it's 20 seconds? Don't ask.
Yep. She will show you with video evidence. So neat fact about this game. Maybe you played through and had to power all these fuses to open this golden door. If you power that fuse that was just powered, the siege engine is accessible from any teleport. And now we've upgraded our attack and died. And now we're back in the overworld. Now, how that works is Glace threw a firecracker. While the death animation was playing, menued off of Glass Cannon, which put her into like the easiest way to die quickly, back to Muffling Bell, and then initiated and then skipped all of the upgrade cutscene.
There's a few things happening there.
Yeah, just a few. Now we're going to Chili's. Yeah, we need our pepper and our wand before we go through maybe potentially the scarier of the lanternless segments.
Yeah. So if
You
you
kinda
couldn't
made them
see what
both
was
scary
happening,
now.
yeah. If you couldn't tell what was happening because it was too dark, like, here's your second chance. Like, we managed to squeeze both dark areas, like, back to back. So this is Dark Tomb, as you can tell from the title.
I can
But-
read that for sure, yeah.
There is a skull there that we have to hit, a skull here that we have to hit, and then going to throw a lure off the world. Excuse me, friend.
Pushing
Gonna
that
go
orb back out so you can
upstairs.
see where you're at, right?
Yeah. Here is a very useful item. And then going to head back downstairs and down the ladder while everyone's distracted.
So that card that Glace just picked up is called the the Orange Peril Ring, which when we're less than 20% HP, we do double damage. And it's extremely important in most of the speedrun categories, but like absolutely critical in any percent restricted. This room is very scary. There's a lot of lasers.
You might notice a trend. Every room is scary.
Yep, that's okay. It's good. We have pretty precise routing for where to kind of position the Fox and throw a firecracker to clear out some of the turrets. We lifted a lever that you couldn't see, and that opened the door, and that was Dark Tomb. Give Glace a round of applause. That we can't hear, but I'm just bathing in it. So now we're in West Garden. Later in the showcase, you'll see a way into West Garden, and you'll see all of the effort that is wasted in this category. But first, we're going to pick up the Speedrunner Sword, which is also a mainstay in most of what you're going to see today. And Glace is going to basically just go on a very nice jaunt around West Garden, say hello to Terry.
It's my friend Terry. He's going to follow us around.
Glace, are you the originator of the name Terry?
Technically, yes. When the first true ending was being routed, I just had some random notes in a text document. And original Any Percent did this, what we're doing now, just having Terry chase us through the garden. And in true ending, like, you have to pick up stuff there, so I just had the note, kill Terry. And I sent my notes to someone, and their response was like, who is Terry and what did they do to you? And it just kind of stuck from there. So the legacy of Terry will live forever.
So as you can see, here's Jerry, Terry, Larry. But we're gonna save here anyway, and you might be like, why are we saving here? I thought we were trying to set up Death Warp all over the place, and we are. We're trying to Death Warp in place this time. First, Glace is gonna run over and get the Ice Dagger, which is a key component into our evil plans for domination of this category. And then we need a little bit more attack to make sure that we can take on the boss of this area, which is required to get to the bell.
If you read the instruction manual, it recommends you to have 3 strength before fighting them.
Also 3 defense, but who's counting?
We're getting there. So that we did trigger an upgrade. You can kind of see it there last frame.
Yeah, we're at attack 3 now. And both attack upgrades, we saved probably 20 seconds of not watching the upgrade cutscene. That's scary.
Yeah.
No, that's the name of the chump thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. So up next is the Garden Knight, and this is kind of scary. Even just a few pixels in either direction can make the boss kind of behave and move around the arena a little bit differently. But because of the orange peril ring,
everything's under control. I'm not terrified, and neither are you.
And look at all this cash. It's worth it. So that was the Garden Knight, and I will say a lot of any % restricted runs end there until you learn just the cadence of the fight, and even when you do, they still end there all the time. But here's the bell, and so now we have access to the Seal Temple. Are we going to the Seal Temple? Absolutely not. Now that we have sort of all the required items for, I guess, the ability to proceed later, we're kind of starting the Tunic boss rush, which you're going to see is kind of the backbone of any run here, right? There are 3 hex keys that we need to place in the temple to be able to finish the game. So that requires us to go to each of these 3 bosses and collect those keys. The boss routing in this category, specifically like restricted rule set in general, is super interesting because generally it's like a hub and spoke. Like we do the overworld and then we kind of venture to these 3 places to defeat the bosses in whatever the most convenient order we can. But in this run, we've already kind of primed access to the siege engine for the red key. So you'll see how quickly that gets kind of routed in.
A little far forward here, but it's all good.
That's fine. We don't need to talk about that trick. So that's ridiculous. I think that actually came from a dumb screen share that we had like 8 months ago, but it's fine. We'll talk about it some other time.
So
this is way more
things
interesting.
that are about to happen.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do is shoot that man to anger this man. We're gonna die, put on Muffling Bell, start an upgrade. We saved here, so we respawn here. Now we're going to, because we have Muffling Bell, we can kind of sneak past people. But we still want to take damage, so we're gonna aggro them, kill this person because they throw bombs at us, freeze him, get shot, so we're at 1 HP. The guy's frozen, so he can't chase us, and now we're at 1 HP and running away.
Now these are the berries we want for the end. Yes, that whole sequence of events is way more complicated than it was, say, like 2 weeks ago, and you can all thank Glace for that. But that is significantly faster because it saves us from having to save and quit a second time after we take damage and then run that route in secret.
That was originally Silent Destroyer's idea. It was like, I was thinking about this, but it's not like safe or consistent. I was like, that is the words I love to hear. But so this is another area where you're supposed to have an item to go through this. You're not supposed to go through the purple soup. There's an item called a gas mask, or the mask, or whatever you want to call it, that prevents the health drain. If you notice, my max health is now 0. But as long as we don't get hit, we're okay.
Yeah, and weirdly, you can just kind of cancel it. So it's not dangerous, really. It doesn't actually do anything as long as you don't die in the middle of it. Yeah,
so saving and quitting and resuming. We got our max HP hit back, and now you can see the damage that the sniper did to us.
I just see 3 semicolons. I don't. Yeah, so that sniper shot that Glace took at the very beginning of the quarry has persisted all the way till now. So we take that shot early so that we can do double damage now. So there's a lot of setup like that in Tunic. You're thinking way ahead. Where do I want to save? Where do I want to death warp back to? Glace is not dancing. We call this the donation elevator, or it used to be called the donation elevator until it was routed out of every other category. So it's still a nice break for restricted runners. But yeah, this is Ziggurat. This is usually the scariest part of like most Tunic runs. But it's pretty routine for restricted, which is a wonderful breath of fresh air. How do you feel about Zig?
It can go wrong. So the scariest thing is, if you remember back when we were up at Quarry and we like saved right before the sniper, that's where our save point is. So if something goes bad enough that I die, we're heading back there. Also, this is like a mid-boss. He's gone.
Yeah, that ladder doesn't activate until you defeat the second phase of the Administrator. If you played through this game casually and kneeled before that boss only to have him kind of activate and attack you, you fell for it.
God.
And I was there too. But now we just get to walk down this... I have forgotten the name of this game.
Tunic.
No. Wow. Okay. Thanks, Glace. The game that this is referencing, Monument Valley.
Monument
That's
Valley.
what it is. Or Fez. Who can say?
Yeah.
No, there's another Fez. Never mind.
There's a Fez room.
Yeah.
These are the official lore ladders. There's some lore right there. This is the El Lore Vader. So my biggest complaint about where the things I've done to this route in the past 2 weeks is you can actually menu in this elevator. Like, this was a great checkpoint. You like changed all of your equipment, did a whole bunch of stuff, and now you equip one thing and just sit here, like stare at the foxes.
That's
There's
pretty
going
cool.
to be a lot that happens right after this. This is the gateway between Upper Zig and Lower Zig. Upper Zig is fun, Lower Zig is whatever the opposite of fun is. So we're going to grab some dynamite, gonna equip the dynamite. We're going to run through a small gauntlet, screaming. And then we get to the double admin fight while being chased by spiders.
Fight. I'm gonna put big quotes around that. If we're gonna fight, we have not done this correctly.
We attack them. That's more than we can say about most things here.
We're not saving. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine here. So, yeah, when you watch people play this casually, it takes them like an hour to get through here because they try to kill everything, and it turns out you can just run through all of it. And now there's 2 very important dagger shots, and we're good. There is actually no fight here.
This is the scariest part of this.
Oh yeah, for sure. This happens in a lot of categories, and you learn how to execute on this pretty early. But the only thing gating progress in this area is powering that fuse. So no fighting for us today. Let's go. That had to hurt though, right? Like,
Ladders are slow.
yeah. Back pain is forever though. So what you're about to see is it's not a quick kill, but it's a lot faster than, say, a casual playthrough. It's what I call ice juggling. I don't think anybody in the community calls it that, but that's too bad. This is my showcase, so. We're basically going to do a lot here. Okay, now we're spinning. Okay, you're fine. I
Everything's
believe.
good.
I don't know if I should talk anymore. So the fox is glowing both blue and red. The red is from the pepper, which adds one to our attack for maybe like a minute. And the blue is the speedrunner code, which down patches a technique that we're utilizing. Thanks for adding the drama to that fight, Glace. And to get the blue key, yeah, basically, if you use the wand and the ice dagger on the same, within 1/15 of a second of each other, you instead shoot an ice beam, which can freeze enemies. And that costs 4 mana, but in version 1 of this game, it only cost 1. And it was a mistake, and it got patched, but the wonderful developers on the Tunic team decided, we'll give speedrunners an 8 input code they have to type in like 6,000 times during each run, so they can down patch in place for 80 seconds that cost to 1. And so we're just going through that cycle of like freeze, get 2 hits in when the boss is about to unfreeze, and we're already at another boss. See, I told you, the siege engine already unlocked. Do you want to talk about this, please? This is less stressful, hopefully.
Yeah. So while this poor siege engine is dying, at the very start we activated all of those fuses with all the candle people around, and siege engine's gone.
It's dead. That's it, you can talk about it.
Yeah. So if you look carefully at the center of the explosion, there's a fox.
Radiant.
Radiant fox.
Do you play this game because there's so much ice beam?
I play it because there's foxes.
Okay. I'll let chat figure that one out. So we're gonna put this key into the plinth. Now you all know the word plinth. Go look it up. I don't have time to explain it. And now we have 2 of the 3 keys.
Got the red fruit gusher.
And now you normally see a death warp there, because like we normally don't power this teleporter pad. But we're off to the 3rd boss approach, I suppose. And remember, we've been here already.
Yeah, so
we're going back to
the
Atoll.
start when we activated those 2 fuses at the very start. Yeah, we're back for the other 2 20 minutes later.
Yeah, it's actually, it was very hard for me to remember that I'd already done 2 of them sometimes when you get here. So in Restricted, you're not allowed to clip through geometry. But nothing says you can't clip other people through geometry. And so this becomes slightly longer than using glitches, but still fun, still fast. We just need to get that frog out of the way. And we're off to the final fuse, which will give us access to the library. This can be a little scary. By the way, Muffling Bell stops those slorms from activating. So if you try that without Muffling Bell, you're going to get in for a nice surprise. And sometimes that bird, formerly known as Twitter,
yeah, they can like activate those fairies, and then you're not having fun.
You can technically shoot them while you're praying, which is how we figured out you could slide away from the second fuse in the quarry while praying. Does it save time? It doesn't matter. So we're going to the library. Glace, I haven't let you talk a lot. Do you have anything on your mind?
Like things are going pretty well. Like I know I shouldn't say that out loud, but it's been a pretty smooth run so far.
You have recovered from things that I haven't even had time to explain why they were scary. So you're doing great so far.
I'm still thinking about Guard Knight, I'll be honest.
Yeah. that hitbox was swinging counterclockwise toward you, and it didn't matter. It is faster to go on the right side. The isometric angle makes it look like maybe that's a little not like optimal, but because the twisting stairway goes to the middle, if you take the left path, it's slightly slower. You can thank Glace for figuring that out. And we're on to the I almost said final boss. Oops. The final boss of our 3 hexagon collection. And wouldn't you know it, it's time for some ice juggling.
So this is a librarian. They're cool because they're left-handed. Unfortunately, they also don't have a lot of HP, so there goes the librarian. He's left-handed.
I mean, they're also frozen, so that's why they're cool. Okay. I can't.
It's like 1 frame away. Look at that.
Listen, I don't even do that in my PB attempts. I don't throw those bombs before picking up that jelly bean. But so we deathport back to the quarry, which conveniently is located like 1 fox roll away from a teleporter pad, which is actually a huge time save versus like saving in overworld. But in order to get access to the end of this run, we need to go to that temple that we opened using the bells some time ago, after that garden night that you don't want to think about, and we need to drop off the keys. We need to unlock. And we're gonna see our first instance of like just free time save because of cool developers. It used to be before speedrun mode, which by the way, we require speedrun mode, and you can see the timer ticking away in the upper left corner. You would have to watch every single one of these cutscenes. Well, okay, no, 2 of the 3 cutscenes. But now if you have speedrun mode turned on, you can just pause and quit out of them.
Yeah. And it's worth mentioning with that timer, when you see me quit to menu, you see the timer turn red and stop. The timer is tracking in-game time versus real time. And that's the
Correct.
discrepancy you're seeing versus the like stream timer, which is tracking loads, and the TUNIC timer, which is removing loads. So it's just a very accessible, like easy timer. It's so good.
Yeah, if you're like hyperventilating, if you're on a fast run, you could literally just wait between a save and quit and continue for like a few seconds, breathe and continue, and then we'll decide if it's valid or not later. Okay, so we're going into the last fight, and every other category hates this part. But you know what's cool about restricted? You just run up and press A.
I also hate this fight, but
yeah. No, that was the part that's cool about restricted. Now the rest of this is extremely difficult, and everybody put your hands together for Glace because they're gonna need all the energy they need. That was more of like a prayer reference, not like a applause reference, but we'll just either one's fine. That sword damages you down to 1 HP to put you in range of the orange pale ring to do double damage. And you also have to type in the speedrunner code between the time that you're hit by the sword and the time that the fight starts. So if you like misinput that code, you're kind of dead. And if you don't win this fight on the first attempt, you can't proceed with an attempt because
no pressure.
Yeah, this is a fight that's intended to be lost. So much so that if you have no fail mode turned on in this fight, it actually deactivates for this first encounter. But luckily, the developers were cool enough to say, hey, I mean, if somebody can do this, I'll let them. The hardest part of this is doing the ice juggle with the available mana you have, because you have to menu 2 berries and eat 3 during the fight to keep this up.
Time is coming up now.
That's it! Time!
That is a 31:14.
That is an excellent time. What? Wait a minute.
Hang on. That's record. By less than a second, but that is literally world record for this category.
Okay. Yeah, we round, the in-game timer shows 007, which is funny to me just because I'm that person, but like also because it's precise, but we round up to the nearest second. So sometimes we get ties, but Glace, this is me asking you, do you think that could have gone any better?
I mean, I lost time in Forest. But no, this was a super smooth run. I'm so pumped that it went this well. It's record, what can I say? That's cool.
I do not mean to trivialize this demonstration because I know you put a lot of work into it and we're very nervous, but I knew it. I knew you'd do it, so thank you so much for joining this showcase. Thank you for demonstrating any percent restricted. Chat, let's give it up for Glace, please. Um, what a fantastic start to this showcase. Could not have asked for better. I don't think we're gonna see you. Yeah. We'll maybe we'll get to that. You do that every time. I don't know if we're gonna see you again in the marathon, right? Maybe in chat. Do you want to
I'll
give
be in
any
chat.
shout outs and maybe talk about where people can find you, what you'll be up to next?
Um, so I'm a super antisocial person usually, so I don't do a lot of streaming or socials and stuff, but I am in the Tunic speedrunning Discord a whole bunch. I am just Glace on Discord. Uh, I'm gonna get a good time in this category, and then I don't know, 100% unrestricted. I don't know. We'll see. Um, but definitely like for shoutouts, like I could sit here an hour naming everyone in the community. Like there's so
Go.
many people that have contributed to this run. You have contributed a bunch. Silent. Uh, I want to give a special shout out to This Is Wind. They were the record holder until I stole it. A lot of what they developed in the run is very evident in here. There's just more people than I can name. So thank you to everyone. This is such a cool, fun community.
Yeah, thank you for being part of it. I think I've said that already, but I'll say it again. And I'll just echo the sentiments. Like, one of the coolest things about speedrunning, if you can kind of take the competitive edge off a little bit, is that you build on, everybody contributes and you're just building a taller and taller tower, like getting closer and closer to the best time. So, a bunch of people put work into this initially to kind of lay the ground floor. Then Wind came in and kind of added a couple optimizations. Now Glace has come in and added optimizations. Who knows where it will go from here? But it's always so fun to see like people kind of bring their own angle and expertise and kind of like challenging assumptions and remixing what we already know to arrive at what is a better time at a game that's always been there. Always. It's been out for a year and a half, but like whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Can you
And
imagine? It's only been a year and a half.
shout outs to Andrew Schuldis and the rest of the team that developed this game. Like the things we were talking about with like the speedrun timer. Like Dicey reached out to us and was like, hey, what would be cool to have for you guys? Like Dicey, Kevin, the whole team, like everyone's super like into runs of their game, which is it's such a cool, like wholesome thing to see. Um I know I like fast forwarded through the credits, but everyone there deserves like full congratulations for this. It's such a good game. And also shout outs to Fastest Birds for putting on this um letting us put on this whole showcase. I know that you've been putting copious amounts of work into this rad, so like thanks to all of you for making this possible.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to go on break. We have some really cool content prepared during breaks on this showcase, so stay tuned, and we'll be back with our next run in about 10 minutes.